Professor Keenan, you teach at Tulane,
Yes, sir, I do. I have that privilege.
and you have your own website, KeenanClimate.com, is that right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And you describe yourself on your website as a globally recognized thought leader, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you give paid speeches, do you?
On occasion, I do.
You have your own agent, I believe, according to your website, Lee Bureau.
This is correct.
And how much do you charge per speech?
It varies depending on the audience, the amount of preparation work that goes, and the amount of follow-through. Usually,
The last paid speech you gave, how much did you receive?
I'm happy to follow up on.
You don't remember?
I do not.
Do you give that money to Tulane?
I do not.
You keep it?
Yes, this is outside of my capacity as a
Right,
professor,
right.
as is
Now,
standard course.
you recently sent a letter you recently joined a lot of other academics. You signed a letter demanding that elite institutions and universities stop accepting money from fossil fuel companies. Is that correct?
This is correct.
You consider Tulane an elite university?
I would like to think that we have a high standard of excellence in our education and our research.
Okay. Well, the Murphy family of Murphy Oil and the Deming family of Murphy Oil have recently given Tulane $25 million. Have you called on Tulane to give that money back?
Well, it's not, they didn't give that money to my unit or the department or school that I work
Have you
in.
called on Tulane to give that money back, or you think that's okay for them to keep it?
It's their prerogative, not mine.
Okay. Yet you just signed a letter saying that all.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're passionate about climate issues and want to dive into some real-world contradictions, then you're in the right place. Today, we have an intense exchange between Senator John Kennedy and Professor Keenan from Tulane University that brings up some serious questions about climate hypocrisy and fossil fuel funding. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our deep dives like this one. So, let's set the stage. Senator John Kennedy, known for his sharp questions, is grilling Professor Keenan. Keenan is a Tulane University professor who also happens to be a self-proclaimed globally recognized thought leader in climate research. He's even got his own website, KeenanClimate.com, where he talks about his work and beliefs. But here's where things get interesting. Keenan regularly gives paid speeches, and in a recent exchange with Kennedy, he couldn't even remember how much he was paid for his last one. And here's the kicker. He doesn't donate the money back to Tulane. Now, we're talking about climate experts and fossil fuel funding, so stay with me. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with climate change? Well, Professor Keenan has signed a letter along with other academics demanding that elite universities like Tulane stop accepting donations from fossil fuel companies. In the letter, they argue that accepting money from these sources creates a conflict of interest when researching climate change. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? But here's the twist. Tulane just received $25 million from the Murphy and Deming families, who are tied to Murphy Oil, a major fossil fuel company. So, Kennedy asks a very simple question. Has Professor Keenan called on Tulane to return that money? And here's where things get heated. Keenan basically says it's not his place to tell Tulane what to do with that $25 million. He deflects the question, saying that the donation doesn't directly affect his department or his work. But hold on, remember, this is the same guy who signed a letter demanding universities stop taking money from fossil fuel companies. So, doesn't it seem hypocritical for him to call out others, but not ask his own university to give the money back? Is he really as committed to his climate message as he says he is? Now we're about to see how this conversation really exposes some contradictions. Professor Keenan has also been very vocal about Houston's so-called McMansions. These large, energy and efficient houses, he argues, are a major source of carbon emissions due to their excessive size. Keenan even suggests that people should downsize their living spaces to help the environment. But here's where the irony hits hard. Tulane recently finished building several massive buildings, including a $55 million, 77,000 square foot complex, and a 92,000 square foot business center.
Letter
Where's
saying
the
that
criticism?
all elite universities should refuse fossil fuel money. Did you put a footnote in there and say, except my own?
Well, what I'd like to say, Senator, is that I believe it raises a conflict of interest for those that research climate change that are
Want to
supported
hear
by
your
the fossil
thoughts.
fuel.
Do you think Professor Keenan's actions line up with his beliefs on climate change? Drop a comment below, and let's have a discussion. So, to wrap up, this exchange between Senator Kennedy and Professor Keenan really raises some important questions about accountability, climate hypocrisy, and where universities stand on funding sources. It's easy to criticize others, but when it comes to personal action, that's where things get tricky. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends who might be interested in the complexities of climate change research and university funding. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Subscribe and watch more videos on similar topics right here.